word creation with James Olokesusi. It's been so fantastic from venture to institution. We're so thank God for seeing us through these 30 days, and I want to appreciate you for staying tuned with us for all this while in the past 30 days. And I believe that you are learning something and you have gotten value. You continue to get value because we continue to host more of this program. And we thank God in the middle of these 30 days, we were able to start our Wealth Impartation program at Ijaye. We were able to start our online course with system thinking and um, for business scaling. And that's the one that's selling online now. And the link is been shared, and we continue to share the link. So we've been able to really appropriate basically what we have been teaching. We've been able to appropriate what we've been teaching. In fact, each time I teach, I get excited because not just you or people I'm talking to that get to get the value of what I'm teaching. I myself get to get the value, and I go over to appropriate them, apply them what I'm doing. So that's the fantastic thing about teaching. So because it has to work on you before you to work on others. So so the word Christian teaching, as we're making it to work on us as much as we desire it to work on you, the audience, and the people that are listening to us. Once again, my name is James Olokesusi. I believe that I met you well. Don't forget to subscribe, press the like button, make comments, and just make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. That's so important. So we are going to be talking about building a solid income stream. Building a solid income stream. There's this fallacy that you need the 7 streams of income before you can become a millionaire. Probably some folks, they study millionaires or wealthy people, and they found out that they have about 7 streams of income. So they are trying to make a rule out of that. No, those people who are wealthy, they didn't start with seven streams of income, because if you are going to start with 7 streams of income to create wealth, you might become 7 weak streams, and eventually it will lack structure and zero wealth creation. So the most important thing is to start with one scalable income, one very solid income, and you create a solid income by building capacity and structure. Whatever you are doing, whatever skill, we've talked so much about converting your skill to a business, from business to scalable business. You've got to understand that part, because your skill, you can organize it. Your skill is what you are doing, so you convert your doing to structure, to organizing. So you convert the organizing, from that organizing, then you structure the organization or the organizing, then it becomes scalable. So you have to move from that, from just doing to organizing. So I think I've rubbed that in for all these 30 days. I want you to really understand that. So you can get much value with what you're doing when you understand how to go about it. So it's also important. So to build a solid income, this first thing is that you have to build a high income earning skill. You have to develop a high income earning skill, or you might need to build your capacity in terms of your skill acquisition, in terms of your leadership acquisition, in terms of your organizing knowledge acquisition. Organizing means the business angle of what you are doing, because if you are only doing what you are doing by just selling the skill, by staying at the commodity level. Don't forget, a few days ago we talked about the levels of value. We talked about the commodity level. That's where you're just selling time. You're just selling time, and we moved from selling time to packaging, translating or transiting from selling time to packaging what you have, that skill you have, into product. That's at that level, product level. Just somebody now who's selling cassava now, farmers who are selling cassava, turning it into gari. Now they have product to sell. Now, like Canva came from freelance, whereby they're just designing for people, collect money, from there to agency, managing multiple companies, graphic designs. Then from there, they move to digital assets or product based. Now we call digital asset by selling templates and digital assets. So that's the way it works. So you have to move. If you're going to create a solid income, the most important, you have to develop your skill. optimally, you have to discover, develop, and deploy your skill. You have to ensure that you are one of the best in your field, and you have developed your skill. Not just that, is that you now begin to organize it as a business by having a legal structure, by having, we talked about all of these things: professional outlook, communication channel. That means you write Gmail or email, write WhatsApp business, write phone calls. That means probably a phone, a line dedicated to your business. you know, um, letter paper. They don't understand place. Don't forget the place of agreement. That means contract. When you are dealing with people, you have a contract. This is what our agreement. This is how much you say you pay in advance. This is what you pay later. So you have all of those things. And that's what makes you organize into a business. That one skill can become like that till you retire. But organize that one skill into, even as a teacher, you can organize it into a business. You're not just a teacher. You are an educational organization. So you begin to transit into an educational organization. So where you educate, it might be tutorial, it might be online courses, it might be different aspects of channels through which you exhibit your skill. So you have to understand that part, that you don't need 7 streams of income to create wealth. The first thing you need is that you have to understand even income, levels of income. There are 3 levels of income. You need to understand that the first level of income has to do with active income. That's when you sell your time. That's when you have developed a skill, a high, rewarding skill, and you begin to develop it, and as well, you problem. You are solving a real problem, and you are consistently. So that's the first phase: active income, selling time. That's the first level, and that's where everybody has started. But you don't need to remain at that active income, because you can hardly create wealth by selling time. Selling time, how many places will you be at the same time? You can't create wealth by selling time, because if you do this one, do this one, do this one, do this one, so you can't sell unless you are selling something of high value, like vessels of oil, like you are selling something that's very expensive, and you are selling from time to time. And not the fact that that thing you are selling is even what creates wealth for you, is how you use the capital, how you use the money that comes from it. That's when you begin to create wealth. Because as you are selling, you can sell today and not sell tomorrow. So as how you use the money, probably you sell something that you made a 10 million, you made 10 million from the proceed. It's very possible. So you made 10 million from the proceed of what the transaction. That doesn't make you a millionaire. No, does that make you, or that doesn't make you wealthy. Yes, you might be a millionaire, but that doesn't make you wealthy. But what has to do with you having assets that continue to generate income. So it is when you now convert that 10 million proceed into an asset or a scalable business that can begin to generate for you. That means you begin to spend the children of your money. Because a lot of people, what they do is that when they make money like that, they go and buy a new car, get new apartment or furnish their apartment, enjoy their life, buy new clothes, buy new phone, and like that, and the money is gone. They begin to pursue, rat race again. So the first place is the active income. The second is the leverage income. That leverage income has to do with you building the structure, or putting your income on autopilot, automating your income, probably through digital tools, or digital programs and like that. So probably you are selling a course online, or you are selling a book online, and your money is coming in. That's on autopilot. That is structured. Or you have a business that is structured. People are selling for you, and you don't have to be there all the time. Even when you're not there, the money is coming in. That is leverage income. That's leverage income. That's at the level where you don't need to get involved, because before you make the money, it's structured. You have several branches of your shops, of your business, or you have several outlets of your business. Is well structured. That's why we've been talking so much about system thinking. Structure your business. That's when it grows. Any growth in any business that is not well structured, that growth will diminish. It will diminish. But before growth, what enhances sustainable growth is structure. So that's leverage income. That means you don't have to be there. You have boys working for you. You have people working for you, and Don't forget the fact that they are working for you and money is coming. And we've talked about creating wealth and sustaining wealth and retaining wealth. If you don't are not financially disciplined enough to sustain that wealth, you know the money might not still make impact rather than you just enjoying your life like a rich man. You might not be creating wealth, per se. So this is the whole thing we need to understand them. That's a leverage income. The third one has to do with passive income. Passive income has to do with you probably are earning dividends, royalties. These are things you probably have assets that you are getting rent from that you don't need to even be there. Probably your facility manager is the one managing the house, and you have them not one, you're having several of them. You have several of the houses that are generating income for you, and without you even working, without you doing anything, you can have all these three levels of income. That's why we are talking about to be an employee and create wealth. You can't create wealth as an employee unless you begin to understand these things. While you are working, you are able to raise money to invest in leverage income, invest in passive income through buying stocks, getting dividends. You invest in buying stocks and lots of that. So these are the ways you become wealthy. Just like we always talk about Madam Adaora of the CEO of the Zenith Bank. While working in Zenith Bank, she has bought shares already in Zenith Bank. What about 4 billion naira? Yes, she's an employee and yet she created wealth. That is where to create wealth. By you not just selling time, but getting to understand the place of leverage income or passive income. That's what you need to understand. So let me get down to this point. Create a solid income. That's it. If you want to really begin to multiply your wealth or multiply your money, create a very solid income. Build your capacity. This Madam Adora we're talking about started in Zenith Bank and by 98 as a youth copper, grew through the ranks. She invested in herself a lot. That means if you don't have money to buy shares now, if you don't have money to buy land now, you don't have money to buy, invest in big business and like that now, invest first in yourself. Spend money to go for training. Spend money to go for, we say come and buy course. This is our online course. The money you spend is an investment into you, and it will come back. A lot of people say, are they going to give us money there? It's an investment. When you invest in your growth, it helps you to attract your goal. But a lot of people, you have a great goal, big goals, big vision, but you are not ready to develop yourself to attract that vision. Nobody pursues wealth. You attract wealth. You can't achieve the goal you set unless you are grown to attract that goal. So the version of you now might not be able to attract that goal. You need to grow. You need to build capacity. That's why you need to invest in yourself first. Invest in your capacity. Invest in leadership. Invest in entrepreneur. Invest in financial intelligence. Invest in courses. Learn. Keep learning. Don't get tired. Don't say I've graduated from university. Who told you that's the level to which it's a formal education, will make you a living. But personal education will make you a fortune. You have gone through, I've told you there are 4 levels of education. We have the foundational education, that's the primary and secondary school. We have the functional education, that's has to do with learning things to be able to be functional in society. You are learning skill, hairdresser and lax. That's functional education. You have professional education. That's going to university, get masters, get all of those stuff. And now you have transformational education. That has to do with you learning, understanding entrepreneurship, understanding financial intelligence, understanding leadership, understanding a whole lot of things that will make you to become a better person. But guess what? The one that helps you create wealth is not just professional education. It's very good. It gives you a leverage. But transformational education is what gives you the wealth. Is what helps you. That's what James Olokesusi said so. Traditional education, professional education will make you a living. You are trained to work, be an employee. But transformational education trains you to be an employer. See the difference between the two. So somebody goes through transformational education and is an employer. Somebody goes through professional education is an employee. So that's why you see many illiterates have become a boss to many, many graduates because they will go through, jump from their public foundational education to transformational education by learning what they need to do. Okay, they move from foundational to functional. From there, they did not even go for professional education. They went for transformational education, learning entrepreneurship, learning leadership, learning how those things work. And by studying, they are able to build a large organization, build a business that works. So get to understand that. Build your capacity. That's what helps you to build. The more you know, the more you earn. The more you know, the more you earn. Your income will not rise above your mindset. Your income will not rise above your knowledge. The more you know, your knowledge, it might be your knowledge might be you know people. It might be a social capital. Because there are five levels of capital you need. You need financial capital, which is the least of it. There's you need physical capital, which others you buy machineries, buy machines on equipment. We have human capital, having to deal with human and lacks of that. Yes, human capital and lacks of that, skill acquisition, having to deal with your skill, your intelligence, and the lacks of that. Then do you have social capital? Social capital has to do with who you know. That's what you know. Who you know. Most time, who you know is more than what you know. It's more important than what you know. Then the last one, you have intellectual capital, whereby ideas, patents, things, intelligent or intellectual materials, intellectual properties that you are selling, like books, like things that can educate others. So these are things you need. You need to you need to use to build yourself. So, like I said, you have to build your capital, build your capacity for you to earn more. So build what you know. I mean, if you know people now, it can enhance your income. So number two thing you need to do is to scale your skills. Scale whatever you're doing. Scale it. That means put a structure whereby it can grow, it can have many branches. Many branches. Scale your income. If you're going to build a solid income, build capacity, build structure. Structure helps you to scale. Scale means to expand it, to be able to have multiple outlets, about 2, 3, 4 branches.